Good afternoon, dear students. Let us start with the concept of uniformly charged sphere. This is from the first chapter. This comes under the concept of applications of Gauss law. There are three applications in Gauss law. Okay, we have done two applications. That is for a uniformly charged long wire. Okay, infinitely long wire, and the second one was for the cylinder. And this third one, uniformly charged sphere, was not included in the syllabus earlier, but now it is included. The whole syllabus is included for your board exam. So this session is all about the uniformly charged sphere. Okay, this is the third application of Gauss law, and it is a very important derivation, and you may get it for 5 marks. Okay, this is very important. In this derivation, there are three cases. Okay, so we'll start solving the derivation. So now, as the name itself suggests, we are going to consider a sphere, uniformly charged sphere. Okay, so let me consider a sphere and let r be the radius of the sphere. Okay, so the charges are uniformly distributed at the surface of the sphere. Okay, we know this, we have learned this in the concept of surface charge density, right? We know this, we have done this in this concept of surface charge density. The same thing we are doing here, and we are applying the Gauss law. So now let us consider the concept of surface charge density, and the expression for surface charge density is given by sigma is equal to delta q divided by delta s, right? So delta s is nothing but the area of the sphere. So I can write sigma as q by 4 pi r square. Okay, so this expression is for the reference purpose. We are going to use this expression to solve the three cases in this derivation. Okay, this is for the reference purpose. That is, sigma is equal to q by 4 pi r square, where 4 pi r square is nothing but the area of the sphere. Okay, so now let us consider the first case. I said you there are three cases. Okay, in first case, we consider a point outside a sphere, some point say P outside a sphere. In second case, we consider this point on the sphere. Okay, and in third case, we will consider this point inside the sphere. Okay, so let us begin with the first case. That is, we'll consider the point P outside the sphere. So I'll draw the same sphere, the same diagram here. Okay, so this is the radius r, and this is the point P, and this is the center of the sphere O. Now this point P is at a distance r from the center O. Okay, what I did, I considered one point P outside this sphere, and it is at a distance r from the center O. Now we all know we cannot apply Gauss law on the open surface, right? It is a condition of Gauss law that the Gauss law is always applied on the closed surface. So we'll consider an imaginary sphere at point P. Okay, so I'll consider one more sphere at point P because we need to apply the Gauss law. Okay, so the radius of this second imaginary sphere is r, because the distance from P to O is small r, right? R. Therefore, the radius of the other sphere will be r. Very simple. So now the electric flux due to this sphere will be psi is equal to summation of, okay, summation of E delta S cos theta. So I can take E outside, okay, E outside, and summation of delta S cos theta. Now suppose if I draw a normal to this sphere, okay, if I draw a normal to this sphere, okay, say the normal, if I draw a normal like this, the normal drawn is in the direction of the electric field, right? They both are in the same direction. Therefore, cos theta becomes 0. We have learned about this in the first chapter. If you have confusion in this, please go to the videos of first chapter and you will understand, because I'm taking all these important terms directly. See, I said the direction of the normal and the electric field are in same direction. Therefore, I am taking this cos theta as 0. But this concept I have explained in the earlier videos. If you have confusion, please refer the earlier videos. Okay. So now, because the direction of the normal drawn and the electric field are in same direction, cos theta becomes 0. Therefore, this equation can be written as phi is equal to E into summation of delta S. Okay, E is equal to summation of delta S. Delta S is nothing but the area of the sphere, that is 4 pi r square. Therefore, I can write phi is equal to E into 4 pi r square. This sphere, the outside sphere, r radius is r, small r. Therefore, E is equal to 4 pi r square. Whereas in this sphere, the radius is capital R, and in this sphere, the radius is small r. Therefore, phi is equal to E into 4 pi r square. Let us consider this as equation 1. Okay. Using Gauss law, we know what is the expression of Gauss law, we know. So, using Gauss law, phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. So this is the expression for Gauss law. So let us consider this as equation 2. So if you compare equation 1 and equation 2, they both are equal, right? Phi and phi are equal. So therefore I can write from equation 1 and 2, or by comparing equation 1 and equation 2, what we have? We have E into 4 pi r square is equal to Q into epsilon naught. So I can write E is equal to, I'll take this 4 pi r square on the right hand side. E is equal to 1 by 4 pi r square, or I can r square Q by epsilon naught. If I rearrange this expression, I will arrive at expression which we are very familiar. Okay, so if I rearrange this, I will arrive at the expression that is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by r square. Do you remember the expression? This expression, do you remember? Yes, of course. This is the expression for an electric field due to a point charge, right? This is the expression for an electric field due to a point charge. So this is the expression for a electric field due to a point outside the sphere. So this is the expression for a point outside the sphere. It is nothing but the expression which we have already derived in the earlier classes. That is the electric field due to a point charge. You can cross check it, okay? The expression is same. So if I express this in a vector form, if I write this in a vector form, I will get vector E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, okay? Q divided by r square into r hat. So this is the expression for the first case. Okay, this is the expression for the first case. So now let me take the second case. I will clear this. If you want to copy it, please pause the video and then copy. Okay, so now I'll clear the screen and we'll go to the second case. Let us go to the second case now. The second case is, we'll consider the point P on the sphere. Okay, the second case is, this was the sphere which we considered earlier with the radius capital R. So in first case we considered point outside the sphere, somewhere here. Now we are considering the point on the sphere. Okay, we'll consider a point on the sphere P. Okay, instead of this outside the sphere, I am considering it on the sphere. Now we don't need to apply the Gaussian surface because we are taking it on the sphere, and sphere is a closed surface. Therefore, we can directly apply the Gauss law on this. We need not to take any other imaginary sphere. Okay, so if we apply the Gaussian surface here, okay, what we will get? Before that, we have the expression, right? E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Yes, Q by capital R square. Okay, so I had written in the earlier screen, that is for reference, I had written what I had written. Sigma is equal to Q by 4 pi R square, right? I cleared the screen, but I had written it for the reference purpose. If I want to substitute Q, what I will do? Well, cross multiply. Q is equal to sigma 4 pi r square. Substitute this q in this equation. Let me call this as equation 3. Okay, substitute q in equation 3. What we will get? E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Q is nothing but sigma 4 pi r square divided by r square. Now r square and r square get cancelled. 4 pi and 4 pi get cancelled. The remaining is sigma by epsilon naught. Therefore, the expression for second case will be E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. And if you want to express it in a vector form, if you want to write the same in vector form, we can write it as vector E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught n hat. So this is the expression for the second case when we consider the point on the sphere of the radius r. Okay, on the sphere of the radius capital R. So this is the second case. Now we'll go to the third case. Okay, now we'll go to the third case. So let me clear the screen so that we can go to the third case. Okay. Just a second. Okay, let us consider the third case. In this third case, we will consider this point inside the sphere. So let me take the same sphere, which is of the radius, which has the radius r. Now we will consider the point P inside the sphere. Okay, we will consider this inside the sphere. But here inside the sphere, okay, inside the sphere, there is no there is no sphere, there is no closed surface. Therefore, let us imagine one more sphere inside the main sphere. Okay, imaginary sphere inside the sphere. Okay, so electric flux will be given by phi is equal to same thing, E into, as we did in the first case, E is equal to summation of yes, delta S cos theta, delta S cos theta. Okay, same thing. The normal drawn is in the same direction as that of the electric field. Therefore, cos theta becomes 0. So therefore, what we have, E is equal to summation of delta S. Delta S is nothing but the area of the sphere. Therefore, phi is equal to E into 4 pi r square. Okay, 4 pi r square. And according to this equation which we were referring earlier, that is sigma is equal to q by 4 pi r square. And the second case, what is the second case? In second case, what we did? In second case, we considered E is equal to sigma by epsilon, right? With all these things, if we can rewrite this equation as phi is equal to q by epsilon naught. This is the second case. Phi is equal to q by epsilon naught is the second case. From second case, if I consider second case here, we get phi is equal to q by epsilon naught. Why did I get this? Can anybody solve this and send me in can anybody solve this and send me as a homework? Why did I appear directly that phi is equal to q by epsilon naught? Anybody? Okay, this is your homework. Write down. How did I arrive at this expression? Phi is equal to q by epsilon naught. This will be your homework. Even you people should scratch your head, right? Why did madam arrive at this expression directly? I can solve like earlier in earlier revision. I'm solving every single step. But now in this third case, you have the first case. Okay, you have the I'm giving you the hint. You have the first case. Okay, you have the second case, and you have this reference expression, that is sigma is equal to 4 q by 4 pi r square, right? So what about in second case? The second expression for second case is E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. So you just come at this expression using these two, arrive at this equation, and then send me as a homework, send me a PDF. Okay, so now The charge, we know that the charge present inside the conductor, the charges are always present inside the conductor is always equal to 0. We know that, right? When a charge is present inside this conductor or a sphere, is always 0. Okay, because the charges are uniformly distributed at the surface of the sphere, but inside it is always equal to 0. Charges are always equal to 0. Therefore, if I consider q is equal to 0 in this expression, if I consider q is equal to 0 in this expression, then I can write phi will also be equal to 0 and E will also be equal to 0. So this is the expression for the third case. This is your homework. Please don't forget. Everybody should watch the video and then you should, from this step, okay, from this step, using these two equation, you should arrive at this expression. Okay, this is your homework. So this is about the third case. Okay, the first case is nothing but the expression for the electric field due to a point charge, that is E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. And the second case is E is equal to epsilon sigma by epsilon naught. And the third case is phi is equal to q by epsilon naught. And if you want the expression in terms of E, it will be 0. In terms of E, it will be 0 because the charge in the center of the sphere is always equal to 0. Is always equal to 0. Therefore, E will be equal to 0. Right? Electric field will be 0. So if I summarize the first case will be E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. And in second case, E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. And in third case, E is equal to 0. So this is all about the expression for the electric field due to a uniformly charged sphere when you apply a Gauss law. This is the application of Gauss law and you will get it for 5 marks. First application, second application and third application, you may get any one of the application for 5 marks. So I will say that practice all the 3 applications. The 3 applications are very important and you will get it for 5 marks. Okay, so please do the homework and send me the PDF by the evening. Okay, so let us wind up the class. In the next class, we'll start with the third chapter, that is current electricity. Current electricity. This is a very important chapter. Okay, so we will start in the next class. So we'll wind up the class. Thank you.